Hi, everyone. Welcome to our May webinar. Here, I do have Stacy Lang with us, coordinator of study abroad here at Fort Hays State University. We're super excited to get started today, so I will just kind of hand over the reins to Stacy here. Let me go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint. Wonderful. There you go.
All right. It is officially afternoon, I think. So good afternoon. My name is Stacy Lang. As Ashley mentioned, I am the study abroad coordinator here at Fort Hays State. And I just want to thank Ashley for allowing us to be here today. I think it's a great idea to get some information out to parents. And I want to talk to parents today about understanding the benefits of study abroad, whether that be at Fort Hays State or any other university for that matter. And I just want to walk you through some of the, transferable skills that study abroad can allow our students to obtain when they are out on exchange or maybe doing a study away with a faculty member here on campus. So this is me, and I have included a picture of me many, many years ago and then me today. And I thought this was appropriate because this was the moment in my life where study abroad became my passion and my mission in life. And I come from a history of education. I've spent 20 years in the classroom teaching foreign language and took my students almost every year to a Spanish-speaking destination. And this is where I truly started to see the benefits of study abroad and how much it impacted my students. And it truly became my passion, and I can only see benefits of study abroad for students. And so that is myself in Puebla, Mexico in the summer of 1995, which seems like yesterday. The best summer of my life, completely transformed me and changed my life for the better. And I always say, since that time, adventure is the best way to learn. And that is certainly what happens with our students, even at the college level, when you are put in situations where you have to think on your feet and you have to expect the unexpected, and you just have to be independent, problem solve, use your critical thinking skills. It always becomes an adventure. And when it does become an adventure, you will never forget that moment, and you will never forget what you had to go through in order to just keep going. So these are some pictures of myself and traveling around the world in different parts of the world where I was able to take my students and then also travel myself. And so much out there, so much to learn, so much to see, and truly every bit of it has impacted me in a different way. So as a student and as a teacher, I just wanted to kind of highlight a few things that I feel like answered the question for me, why study abroad? And personally, as a student, I was a senior here at Fort Hays State when I did my first study abroad, and I spent a summer in Mexico, as I shared, and I cannot even put into words the impact it had on me. And so when I work with students here at Fort Hays State, I always like to share my personal stories, because I think that's what students can relate to, is when you have something tangible, something that you can honestly say, this happened to me, and this is the experience that I had, and this is how it's changed me. And my students would come back every year and say, oh my gosh, you are so right. It has definitely changed me, impacted me, and I'm ready to go back. So that was always the answer I got after each study away. As a teacher, I could truly see the transformation that my students had, and as a foreign language teacher, I could see the confidence and the passion and the motivation every time students would come back to work harder and to study more and to practice their language. But it can be applied across every discipline, because you're you're learning so much. It's not just a foreign language, but it wouldn't matter the subject type. It would be across all curriculums. So when you live it and you feel it and you experience it, it motivates you that much more to want to learn, I believe. This is a quote that I love, and I truly believe this after being a study abroad student myself and watching my students go through the process of study abroad. But it says, there exists a class of people throughout the world that are unified not by national identity, but by a spirit of openness and willingness to relinquish predictable security in favor of adventure and exploration. And I truly feel like that applies to me not only as a student, but also as an educator. Every time I would take my students or leave the country, I do feel that I identify now by just a willingness to, kind of say, you know what, there's so much out there to learn, there's so much out there to see, and every day is a new adventure. And every day I learn something from the experiences that I went through throughout that process. So I love this quote, and I think it defines students who understand and maybe return from a study abroad. They can relate to this quote much better once they return from a study abroad. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about are maybe parents' perceptions of study abroad. I'm a parent myself. I have a daughter graduating this year and majoring in anthropology. So I know this is a topic that I'm going to have to look at very soon myself, being a parent and sending her off by herself. And so I can relate as a parent as well. And I know when I take my students abroad, I always get the question of how much is it going to cost and how safe is my student going to be? And those are usually the two biggest concerns that parents have. And I can relate. I understand completely what those concerns are. And so the perceptions I have listed here are, oh my gosh, my child's going to be too far away. What if they need me? I'm not right there. I can't help them. But again, that's all part of the experience, and that's all part of the personal growth that they're going to go through. Another question I always get is about safety. And we all know that the world has changed so much and is continuously changing. And, we cannot predict anything that would happen at any given time. But I know on the side of Fort Hays State, we do take every precautionary measure to make sure that the students are safe. We have their legal documents in order in the event that something would happen. We would have proper insurance so that they would have the coverage that they need to assist them when they are out on exchange or in another country. So we do go through all that we need to do to ensure the safety of your child. When it comes to cost, I really promote our exchange programs at Fort Hays State because you can pay Fort Hays tuition. You do not have to pay a higher price. Most of our exchanges, you can pay Fort Hays tuition, take advantage of financial aid, and also also apply your scholarships that you may have gotten through Fort Hays State. It's a really wonderful way to explore the world. We all know that Fort Hays tuition is very economical, and it allows students to be able to go out and see the world and not pay any more than they would if they were going to school right here in Hays, Kansas. The last perception that I want to talk a little bit about is I just got through freshman pre-enrollment, and I visited with a lot of parents who came to my booth and visited with me, gave them information, and there were always some parents that approached and said, you know what, this is just not for my child. And I understand that completely. But one thing I think we shouldn't do is maybe categorize our students in that way and say, well, I don't think my child has the right personality, or I don't think my child is independent enough, or I just don't think my student can handle it. Because you just never know how your student is going to handle any given situation. And sometimes when we push them out of their comfort zone, that's when they really blossom. So I definitely wanted to bring that to the attention of our parents, as sometimes our perceptions can be accurate, but sometimes not always. All right. My job here at Fort Hays State is to help our students who are looking at doing an exchange or going to another country with a faculty leader. I oversee the process. So I just wanted to make it clear to all the parents what my job is here at Fort Hays State. I am to be a support system for our students. So if you have a student who is interested in studying abroad, they can come in, they can make an appointment with me. I'll walk them through the process after I get to know them a little bit better and learn about their wants and desires and what their major is and what they see themselves doing in the future, because that helps me guide them and advise them on what the best opportunity is for them down the road. And, you know, certain exchanges might offer a different type of experience. So that allows me to guide them in the right direction. The other thing that we do is we oversee the Fort Hays enrollment and credits. So when they do go out on exchange, all of their credits will transfer back to Fort Hays State. They will pay Fort Hays tuition prices for those credits. They pay through the Tiger Enroll just like they would any of their other classes if they were going to go to class here on campus. So it is the same process that they need to follow, and it makes it pretty simple for them. We also facilitate pre-departure orientation. So I will meet with the students. I will help guide them through every step of the process, make sure they have all their legal documents in order, make sure that they understand where they're going, the differences in the country that they're going to, anything and everything that they need to know about their destination. We will talk about that before they leave. I will also be on call at all times when they are out on abroad. So if anything comes up, I'm just a phone call away, I'm an email away, and they can contact me at any time for any sort of assistance that they need. I'm also here to inspire the students, because I think sometimes that's all students need, is just one little inspiration. Maybe it's a story, maybe it's, you know, just a conversation that we have to say, you know what, if this is something that you want to do, we can make it happen. Where there's a will, there's a way. And those are the moments that I love as an educator, is to see their eyes really lighten up and be like, oh my gosh, this is really going to happen. And so those are the most rewarding moments for me. And then finally, we are here to ensure safety while the students are out on exchange. We make sure that we are in connection with the exchange partners, the schools, making sure that the students are doing okay, and that if they aren't, we are here to assist them at any moment. So that's what I do when it comes to preparing the students for study away or study abroad. The next thing I want to talk about are just some reasons why I believe all students should consider study abroad. And maybe as a parent, I think it's important that you know these things as well when you are supporting your student, when you're having conversations with your students, or maybe your students come home and say, I want to do this, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, kind of that, how is this going to happen? How are we going to make it work? What are we going to do? And so I just want to share a few of those reasons why maybe that you should consider and maybe have those conversations with your students about why this could be a really great opportunity for them. The first one is seeing the world, seeing new customs, creating new perceptions, new ways of life. There's a lot of really wonderful places to see out there that are just absolutely mind-boggling, breathtaking, awe-inspiring places where you just can't even fathom that these places even exist. And I've seen a lot of those around the world, and they do exist. And so it's just an opportunity for them to see different things and to broaden their horizons a little bit. Another reason is to diversify their education. There's so many different educational systems out there, and so many different topics that other countries can offer. Different universities can offer a different perspective to our students. There's different ways of learning, different styles of education. We have some students that have just returned from abroad, and you're going to hear from them here in a little bit. But visiting with them and listening to the differences in how other countries' education systems work has even been enlightening to me. So there's definitely a lot of educational advantages for your students when they go out. and do a study abroad in another country, because everything is different than what they see here, and it's a learning moment for sure. Another reason is to have a new perspective on new cultures, try some new foods, see some new traditions taking place, new social atmospheres. There's a lot of culturally nuances that we don't always know about until you actually visit a foreign country and immerse yourself. And it just makes them a lot more worldly, makes them understand people from different cultures a little bit better that they might engage in a work environment, or even other students we have here on campus at Fort Hays State, allows them to understand, be a little bit more empathetic, globally aware, and you just can't possibly know enough that would enhance your communication and interactions with other people from other countries. Another reason is possibly become fluent in a second language. Being able to go to a foreign country and actually speak the language there is, I think, a really wonderful moment. It's a confidence builder for sure when you can actually go into a country and speak the language. But if you are a learner and you're learning in the country, no better opportunity than to be able to speak and practice the language while you're there learning it at the same time. And the moments that I always see students really get excited about is when we go to a market, a fresh food market, and they're able to communicate with the vendors there, purchase some items, and maybe bargain a little bit for their items. When we go into a restaurant environment and they're actually able to read the menu and order off the menu in the first language that they have in that country, and being able to understand it's a really fun moment when you're sitting around the table and everyone's practicing the language. Surviving daily life, getting a taxi cab, asking where the bathroom is, asking someone what the cost of something is that you want to purchase, or paying the bus fare at the subway station. Those are all things that you have to do to survive daily life in a foreign country. And when you have the opportunity to use that language to do that, it really helps build your confidence. And so confidence is the key to learning a second language, and being immersed in another country and the language is definitely going to do that for our students. Exploration is something that I think most students, if they're considering study abroad, this is something that's deep within them, that they've just got that yearning, and I can relate to that. And they just got to go, they got to do it, they want to experience it. And most students that I've talked to have that yearning to explore, and so it always allows them to experience different types of adventures, discoveries, activities, entertainment. There's so many different things out there that they can experience and will have a major impact on them. Lifelong friends. I was just talking to our girls here today that, they meet new people. They got to live in different housing facilities with different people from around the world. And everyone I talk to says, oh my gosh, these are friends for life. We've bonded, and it's just a really great experience. Sometimes we meet students internationally, but sometimes they meet other American students as well that are on exchange along with them, and they get to know them very well, maybe share a dorm or some sort of other residential facility with them, and they really get an opportunity to get to know each other and travel possibly with each other on their breaks and over the weekends. So they really do get an opportunity to create some lifelong friends and bonds for life. Personal development. This is probably myself personally. I can honestly say that I came back a changed person after my study abroad, and I believe I've seen the transformation in most all of my students. The independence they gain, the problem-solving skills that they gain, the kind of like, oh my gosh, I never knew that about myself. I never thought I'd be able to do that. I never thought that I would ever try that. And so personal development is a huge piece of study abroad, and coming home with kind of a new identity about yourself and learning more about yourself than you ever thought you could. And that is definitely something that I experienced personally, but also see it with all of my students. When students do a study abroad, it's going to be a really great thing for them to use on a resume. When they are applying to graduate school, it looks very, very good on any type of application. It shows that they have a background in diversity, shows they're very committed to learning, displays leadership skills that they've acquired through, working through the study abroad process. So it really does look good for them if they are considering graduate school or any other application for that matter to any kind of higher learning institution. And that kind of segues into my career opportunities. It really shows that the students are open-minded. They come from a background of diversified education. They're open to learning just about anything. You can throw anything at them and they're willing to just try it. And that shows that they're world ready and that they are globally aware. And for an employer, those are pretty important skills for them to have. Transferable skills is something that employers are always looking for. And I just listed a few here on this slide so that you could kind of see what transferable skills are. I don't know if everyone understands what transferable skills are, but these are skills that you can transfer into the workplace. And so I just listed several things there: traveling independently, working with a diverse group, exercising patience, that's huge when you're traveling abroad, resolving conflicts, you've got to figure it out, and you've just got to resolve what you need to resolve. Adapting to new environments, that's huge. That's very important. Showing confidence, managing a crisis, organizing, time management skills, taking initiative to try something new. That'll happen every hour of every day on study abroad. Handling stressful situations, that is definitely, they will encounter things that they just didn't expect, but you know what? With patience and tenacity, you work through it. Understanding different cultures, appreciating diversity, being globally aware and knowledgeable about the world we live in, whether it's politics, whether it's economics, language, culture. That knowledge is really, really important to employers. And then learning a second language, if at all possible. It really kind of allows you to hone in on those skills and master those skills that they've been working on for so long. And lastly, it just shows employers that you are enthusiastic and open-minded to try new things and to take on any challenges that come your way. So I think all of these transferable skills are very applicable to study abroad. And I can honestly tell you that I've seen all of these things in my students, and the more stories I hear from Fort Hays students, they could definitely apply these to their experience as well. All right. The last thing I want to talk about before we hear from our study abroad students that have just returned from being out on exchange is what opportunities we have here at Fort Hays State. We have many different opportunities that students can engage in here at Fort Hays State. It really just kind of depends on what they're looking for, how long they want to go out, what their major is, what are they thinking. And so the first thing that we have that is our exchange opportunities, and that means that they're going to pay Fort Hays tuition. They can go on a national exchange or they can do an international exchange, and we work through a consortium called National Student Exchange. And they would want to come see me, and I would get them started with the application process. It requires some letters of reference from faculty members. It requires a personal statement and an application fee. And once we do that, we can get the process rolling, and I will walk them through the process. They can utilize scholarships, they can utilize financial aid, anything that they've obtained. They will pay all their fees through Fort Hays State with our national and international exchange programs. So it's really, really wonderful opportunity. We also have some partnerships that we work with. That Fort Hays has some special partnerships across the world in some different countries that we work one-to-one with. If students have an interest in going to some of those countries I have listed there, South Korea, Germany, China, Spain, Paraguay, they can experience those countries, and we work specifically with a university that we have a partnership with in those countries. And so we, again, would help them through that process of the application and what they need to do to prepare to do one of those exchanges. One of the most popular ones is our exchange in Germany, and we work with the university there. We send students there every summer on exchange. And being in Ellis County, that seems to be a favorite destination for a lot of our students. And finally, we do have a faculty-led opportunity at Fort Hays State. We have many faculty who are leading students every break, whether it's intersession, spring break, or summer. They are going to many different international destinations. Some of the ones that we've recently had, France, Belgium, Italy, Switzerland, the Virgin Islands, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Galapagos Islands. So it really depends on the department, really depends on you know, the department chair or the faculty leader and where they're taking their students. That does not mean that you have to be a major in that department to actually go out with the student or with the faculty from that department. You can be an education major and go with the biological sciences department, or you can be a agriculture major and go with the business school. So there are those opportunities as well, and I will have a full list of those opportunities come August when students return and they are wanting to get started on looking at what options they have for study abroad next academic year. So those are definitely coming up, and we always have faculty leaders who are just as passionate about study abroad as I am. They get so excited to take their students out and explore the world with them. Many times there's academic credit associated with the class, so they will get Fort Hays credit that will transfer back. They have to pay the tuition for those hours, but they can do some, you know, kind of minor coursework with that short-term study away and get transferable credit back to Fort Hays State. So that is always an option as well. So I always tell students to be looking out in August when they get back on campus. I will be out and about. I'll be doing lots of information sessions for them. I will be spreading the news of study abroad. Application deadlines for our national and international programs are February for the following academic year. If they want to study abroad in the spring, our deadlines are in September. They always need to be thinking ahead, planning ahead. That's the best rule of thumb. When you are seeking to do a study abroad, it's not something we can do at the last minute because it takes some planning and there's an application process involved. So that is definitely the rule of thumb. Plan ahead and come talk to me earlier than later so that we can get the process started and talk through what your options are and what the best fit is for the student. All right, so those are the options we have, and anytime that parents want to contact me, you can certainly do that as well, and I'll put my contact information up on the screen here momentarily at the end of our webinar. All right, so at this moment, I would like for all of you to hear from two of our students who just returned from a study abroad. We have Stephanie Fowler. She's a senior majoring in psychology, and she just returned from Ulster University in Northern Ireland. So Stephanie is here today, and then we also have Olivia Stewart. Olivia is a junior majoring in education, and she just returned from the University of Central Lancashire in the United Kingdom. They both were out on a semester exchange and just returned here and have been on campus here this spring semester. I have asked the girls to share with you a little bit about their experience, and I'm excited for them to share their stories with you. So, are you guys ready?
Ready.
All right. Stephanie, you want to go first?
Sure.
All right. So we're going to have Stephanie up first to share a little bit about her experience in Northern Ireland.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Fowler. Like Stacey said, I'm from Littleton, Colorado. I'm a I'm a senior majoring in psychology. I decided to go to Ireland my second to last semester of my senior year because I had an opportunity to go to a faculty-led study abroad trip, but unfortunately it got canceled. So that just kind of fueled my fire to want to go to Ireland even more. I got to take 2 psychology classes and 1 media studies class, and I was able to get credit for both of those classes coming back here, and I am able to graduate on time. So that was the big thing that I wanted to do, was be able to take classes, get them transferred, and be able to graduate on time. I stayed in a residential hall on campus with 5 other girls. They were all from America, like me, and it turned out they were all from the central part of America too, which was funny. And I really enjoyed living on campus. As a senior, it was just not something I was expecting, but it was good just to live on campus and not have to worry about rent and all that kind of stuff. As far as food went, we had to prepare all of our own food, which was fun in a way because we got to go to the grocery store. We got to experience what that was like, shopping for food and kind of branching out, trying new things. Not having a car had its ups and downs. We had to take the bus a lot. We had to walk a lot, and it was fun. I came back here and missed walking to the grocery store, which I thought I'd never say. But as far as financial needs go, this was something that was really stuck out to me, was the financial aspect of it. I was able to afford it. Like, comparing friends from high school, they went to study abroad, and their amounts were just astronomical. Like, I couldn't believe they were paying that much, and I was able to apply my scholarships, my grants to this, and I was able to pay for it. My parents were able to help me, and I had a lot of money left over that I could use for traveling Europe, which I did. And after coming home, I realized how important this experience was for me. I was pretty shy in college. I mean, I branched out a little bit, but just this opportunity really pushed me out of my comfort zone, definitely. I was faced with a lot of new things, new obstacles that I was able to experience with my friends that I know I'm going to be friends with forever, but just I have a lot of confidence now. I caught the travel bug. I want to travel everywhere now. I don't want to stay put. I want to go exploring, and just the accessibility you have over there is just crazy. I mean, we were able to go to London for the weekend. Me and my friends did a 3-week backpacking trip in Europe, and it was super affordable just because of how inexpensive flights are and accommodation and food, and we had to deal with what we had, and we made the most out of it, and it's something that I'm always going to remember. And when thinking about like traveling and like safety, my study abroad advisors really pushed this program called STEP. I don't know exactly what the acronyms stand for, but every time we traveled outside of Ireland, we registered our trip with this program. It's like a national program where if something were to happen, like a terrorist attack or natural disaster would happen, we would get notified, our parents would get notified, and the people at our school would get notified. So that was something that I did every time I traveled outside of the UK, was register my trips, so my parents would know where I was, and my study abroad advisors would know where I was. And that was something that really helped me and helped my parents feel secure when I was traveling by myself and with younger girls like me. And just the technology, I think, that we have. I mean, our phones, I didn't have like a data plan over there, but I did have WhatsApp. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's just an app that you can message, call, FaceTime through as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi is super accessible in Europe and in the UK. I didn't have any troubles connecting or getting a hold of my parents whenever I needed to. because that was something that they emphasized to me, was they wanted to get a hold of me and know where I was at. So that was not a problem. I felt fairly safe. There was not a time where I was scared, but it wasn't to the point where I needed to come home or my safety was in jeopardy. I always felt like this was something I could do, I could overcome, just need a little confidence. And I pursued, and now I wish I was there longer. I didn't want to come back, but I had to graduate, so I needed to get my stuff done. I think that was all that I wanted to talk about. You ready, yeah. Olivia?
Yeah.
Okay, Olivia's going to talk next a little bit.
Hi, my name's Olivia Stewart. I just recently switched to be an elementary education major. Before, when I actually went to England, that's where I studied abroad, I was undecided. And so studying abroad really helped me figure out what I wanted to do, which I'll talk about in just a second. But I'm from Salina, Kansas, so pretty local. I studied in England from September to January. I actually came back and was about a week late for school, but I was very on top of it. I emailed my teachers, told them the situation, and they were very supportive, gave me the assignments and the pre-tests that I had to do, and they worked very well with me. I studied at University of Central Lancashire in Preston, which is about an hour northeast of Manchester. I stayed in the residential halls. Mine was specifically called Whitendale Hall. My dorms were really great about security. Each one of us had a electronic key card, and I had to unlock about 5 locks. I took a video and sent it to my parents. Each time there was a gate I had to go through, and then our dorms were a little different than they were here in the States. There's even though it's Whitendale Hall, there's about 7 other buildings that you can get into in Whitendale Hall, and my key would only open up specifically to my building. And so you had to go through the gate, the building, and then 2 more doors. So security was great at my school. The classes I took, since I was undecided, I was leaning towards criminal justice at that time. And so I took one Britain history class, which I thought was very interesting since I was over there. And then I also took 2 criminal justice classes, Why Prison and Human Trafficking and Modern Day Slavery. And both of those were incredible. The human trafficking was my favorite. It's always been something I've been really passionate about. And after taking that class, it really opened my eyes to even more. Most of our daily products that we use are manufactured by human trafficking victims. And so it just really opens your eyes and makes you more worldly and aware. Regarding the food that I ate, I lived in a flat where there was 4 of us living in it, and it was more of an apartment type situation. So we each had our own rooms, and we shared a kitchen and 2 separate bathrooms. I lived with 1 girl from the US and 2 boys from the UK, and we all cooked together in our kitchen, and it was really great bonding for us. Transportation wise, I took a lot of trains, and I loved it. Took a lot of trains, a lot of taxis, a lot of Ubers. I thought I would miss driving. I did not miss it one bit. It was great. I loved walking. I had a grocery store that was a block away, so I loved walking to the grocery store as well. Walking into the town center maybe took me 15 minutes, and it was great, except in England it rained a lot. So if it was a nice day, you didn't wear your hooded jacket and it started to rain, you were done for. But it was great. Regarding financial needs, I I have a brother who attends K-State University, and he's graduating actually this Saturday, and he is in the aviation program. So through Fort Hays, it was cheaper for me to go to England than it was for my brother to be in Salina, Kansas at K-State. So I think that's something that's really important, because I was having the time of my life in Europe, and he was in Salina, Kansas. So it was great. I traveled a lot, and that is something that I never imagined that I would do. I traveled with one friend who I made from California, and actually yesterday I just booked a flight to go see her this summer, and so she is one of my lifelong friends. We traveled together to 8 different countries, and when I applied to study abroad, I never dreamed that I would get to go on that many trips. I thought that I would be in England and maybe take 2 more trips, but everything was so affordable there that it really made traveling so easy, and I wish I could go back. I wish I would have stayed the second semester, but at the time, before I left, I was nervous that I would get homesick, and so I figured I would just go this one semester and come home, and it would be great, and I should have just gone the whole year, but that's okay. Maybe I'll go again. Regarding the skills, when I was in high school, I was incredibly shy. It was really bad. But my junior year of high school, my family decided to host a foreign exchange student. She was from Ecuador. We loved her, absolutely adored her. My senior year for spring break, we went and visited her in Ecuador, and that is really when I decided that studying abroad was going to be my thing. But I knew that I wasn't ready yet because I wasn't independent enough, and so my freshman year of college, I really branched out. I pushed myself, and I started to become more independent. And it was then that I was like, this is the time. I need to do it right now. And so I applied, and I got accepted to go to England, which was really special for me because that's where my grandma grew up. And actually, my family came and visited me once it was decided that I was going to England. They came and visited me for Christmas. And we got to stay in my grandma's old house because it's been renovated into a bed and breakfast. And so that was really special for us. And I mean, just going abroad really taught me a lot about myself. It taught me to be independent and problem solve. I mean, in England, when I was there, train strikes were going on, which you don't think will really affect you, and then it does. And you're like, what do I do? How do I get home? And you do it. You figure it out. You see 2 trains that connect to one another, because usually it was only one line that was shut down. And so you find one train that connects to another that takes you to your destination, or you call an Uber. And unfortunately, you just have to pay for it and suck it up. It's a lot more expensive than taking the train, but you do it. You figure it out. And I always used to be very uptight, and if something mildly would go wrong, I would freak out. And after being in England, I'm more relaxed, and I know that everything will work itself out, and I'm going to be okay. Regarding my safety, I never felt scared. The only time I was even a little bit nervous is when my friend and I spent a week in Italy, and it was really great. We had so much fun. But on our last day, we were in Venice, and we both got food poisoning. And we were just nervous because we didn't know if our accommodations were going to let us stay an extra day, if they were going to kick us out in the middle of the night because we were obviously throwing up. And they didn't. They worked really well with us. We just changed our flights the next day. They charged us like half price to stay in the accommodations for one more night, which was really generous of them. So that was the only time that I was really even nervous about a situation, and it wasn't even that bad. I felt safe everywhere I went, but that could also be because before we traveled, my friends and I did a lot of homework on what neighborhoods were safe to stay in, where we shouldn't walk, what were the best places to go to for tourists. And so we did the best we could to make everything incredibly safe for us. If anyone was even thinking about studying abroad, I would say go for it. I mean, you learn a lot about yourself and you come back a different person and you'll want to go again. So that's all I have.
All right. I never get tired of hearing those stories, I tell you. They are always, it's very rewarding for me to hear those stories when students come back and have such a rewarding experience. So the last thing that I want to do is to just put my contact information up here on the screen. I have been talking to a lot of new incoming freshmen the last couple weeks with our Tiger Stripes pre-enrollment days, but students can come in at any point in time and visit with me. I always say the earlier the better for study abroad, because if students are in their final years, Stephanie mentioned this was her senior year, and she needed to come back and graduate. Sometimes, they've got required courses that maybe will not, are only our Fort Hays courses that, if they need specific courses to graduate, they have to have those here on campus, and you can't necessarily take those overseas. So sophomore year, junior year is always a good time to consider study abroad. And getting the process started early is always the key to success, because it's not something you want to rush through. You want to make sure you have ample time to make your decisions, do the proper planning, pre-departure, get your legal documents if you need passports and visas. And so always be thinking ahead. And I can certainly help students through that process at any time if they come in and visit with me or come to one of my information sessions next fall. Come to our Study Abroad Fair. There'll be lots of opportunities for them to learn more. So again, there's my contact information. We are located in Sheridan Hall 204, and my email is there. Feel free to email anytime. I'd be more than happy to visit with your children about study abroad at Fort Hays State. Ashley.
Wonderful. Well, I actually was able to study abroad as well 2 summers ago now, actually, in Germany. Like Stacy mentioned, we have the Germany program. Listening to these stories just made me very, very nostalgic, missing Germany and missing all my friends. So I figured I'd mention my study abroad experience as well. So I was able to study abroad through our program in Essen, Germany, and we have a partnership with the University of Duisburg-Essen there. And so I was able to study abroad there for a month, actually, during the summer in 2016. And it was interesting because I know nothing about German. I know nothing about Germany. I know nothing about any of that. And I have nothing to do with like German studies or anything either. I was a leadership major in my undergrad. So it was really like, I don't know why, I just really wanted to go. And so it was really nice to be able to do that during the summer and and take a couple of German language, German culture courses, and not have to worry about like, how is this going to fit into my leadership curriculum? So that was really awesome. I studied abroad there. I also traveled Europe for a week, and I was able to go to Cardiff, Wales, London, and Ireland. And I traveled in like a giant triangle of Ireland somehow on accident. I was searching for my family church, actually, because my family's from Ireland and Germany. I didn't actually find it. Transportation's a little bit funny there, and trying to find like private buses to places, but it was really awesome. I never felt unsafe there. I did get a lot of problem solving skills, very independent. I traveled by myself around Ireland. There were 5 of us that went to Germany, and by that time there was 5 girls. All right, let me tell y'all, there was 5 girls, and by that time we were like, we need to get away from each other for a little bit. So it was really nice to be able to go by myself and really get that experience. I absolutely loved it. It was not expensive at all. I mean, especially I was everything over there, like paying for where we were staying. We stayed in a little kind of like a hotel, kind of like a convention center area right down from our university. And it was all paid for by the university. And I just had to pay for basically airfare. And then I spent way too much money there. Let me tell you that the food is great. The shopping is great. I spent way too much money over in Germany, but it was wonderful. So if you ever have any questions about studying abroad, mine was just very short term, a month over the summer. And a lot of our students have experience with a whole semester or a whole year. And of course, Stacy knows it all. You know, she's in charge. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you so much for joining us. I will be gone for the summer. Actually, I'm studying in New Mexico this summer for an internship, but I'll be back in the fall and we will start back up with our monthly webinars. So we hope to see y'all then.